Welcome to the Everyday Math Unit 7.5, Fraction, Addition, and Subtraction. The objective of this lesson is to solve addition and subtraction problems with fractions having like or same denominators and different denominators. Let's start off with what we know. First off, we know that the circle equals the whole. So the circle equals one whole. If I cut the circle in half, I can write each fraction as 1/2 and 1/2. Then I add my plus sign and I can say that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. If I take the same circle and cut it into fourths, I can write my fractions as 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4. I can put a plus sign in between each one of these. 1/4 plus, 1/4 plus, 1/4 plus equals 1 whole. The reason why I'm able to add all of these fractions up together so easily is that my denominator on each of the fractions are all exactly the same. Those are never going to change, and we actually do not add the denominators. When adding or subtracting fractions, we are only looking at the numerator when we're actually doing the equation. So I have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. Let's look at another problem using the same whole. First, I'm going to divide my whole into fourths. Next, I have colored 2/4 of the whole green, and I have 2/4 of the whole yellow. Because both of the shapes 2/4 and 2/4 are the same sizes, I can add these together. They also have the same denominator, which means that when I bring my sum over, my denominator will remain a 4, and now I can add my numerators. 2 plus 2, which is 4, which is my numerator, and we all know that 4 over 4, or 4/4, is equal to 1 whole. I can add these fractions together because they both have the same denominator. They both are covering the same amount of space on the whole. Let's look at another problem. Here I have 2/5 plus 1/5 equals. I notice that my denominators are the same. That means that I'm going to bring that denominator over, and that will stay the same. Nothing is going to change, and I am not going to add my denominators. I am going to add my numerators. So I have 2 plus 1 equals 3. So my sum is 3/5. Now it's your turn to practice a couple of problems on your own. Try these problems on your own. You can check the answer on the next slide. As I look at this first problem, 1/3 plus 1/3 equals, the first thing I notice is that the denominators are the same. That means that I can bring over that denominator straight over to my sum. Next, I look at my numerators, and now I know I can add 1 plus 1 equals 2, so my answer is 2/3. The next problem, 2/7 plus 3/7. Again, I notice that the denominators are exactly the same. Therefore, I can bring over the denominator first. My numerators, I can now add, and I can say 2 plus 3 equals 5, so my sum is 5/7. Now let's take a quick look at subtracting fractions with the same denominator. So my problem is 2/3 minus 1/3. Just as in addition, when I am subtracting, I have to look at my denominators, and if they are the same, I'm going to bring that denominator straight over. Nothing is going to change with that denominator. My numerators, this time, I need to subtract my numerators. So I have 2 minus 1 equals 1. So my difference is 1/3. Let's practice a few subtraction problems with fractions with the same denominator. Check your work on the next slide. The first problem is 2/8 minus 1/8. I look at the denominators. They are the same. Therefore, I'm going to take the denominator and I'm going to bring it straight across. Now I look at my numerators. I'm going to subtract. 2 minus 1 equals 1. So my difference is 1/8. The second problem is 4/6 minus 2/6. Check my denominators. They're the same. I'm going to bring over the denominator. Nothing changes with my denominator. My numerators, I'm now going to subtract. So 4 minus 2 equals 2. My difference is 2/6. Now we're going to look at adding fractions with different denominators. Our circle equals 1 whole. I have now taken my circle and I've divided it into different parts. The red part is 1/2 of my circle, and the green parts are each 1/4 of the circle. 1/4 plus 1/4 we know is 2/4. So now I'm going to add 2/4 plus 1/2 equals. First thing I notice is that my denominators are not the same. Therefore, I must find the same denominator, or a common denominator, for both of these fractions. Here's where I need to know my multiplication tables. I know that 2 times 2 equals 4. So I'm going to change my 1/2 into 4ths. Whatever I do to the denominator, my numerator has to do exactly the same. So I'm also going to multiply the numerator by 2. I'm now going to rewrite this problem. I'm going to say 2/4 plus 2/4 equals, I've now rewritten the problem so that my denominators are the same. I can now bring the denominator over, and now I can add my numerators. And I have 2 plus 2 equals 4, which we know equals 1 whole. So 4/4 equals 1 whole. Let's try another problem. Here we have 3/6 plus 2/3. First thing I notice is that my denominators are not the same, so I must find the common denominator. I know that 3 times 2 equals 6. So whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator, and so I'm going to do 2 times 2 also. I'm going to rewrite this problem as 3/6 plus 4/6 equals 7/6. And for right now, we're just going to leave that as an improper fraction, meaning that my numerator is larger than my denominator. Let's practice another problem together. I have 1/3 plus 2/9 equals. First thing I notice, my denominators are not the same. Therefore, I must make them the same by finding the common denominator. I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So I'm going to multiply my denominator by 3. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So I'm also going to multiply that by 3. I'm going to rewrite my problem as 3/9 plus 2/9 equals 5/9. And that is my product. Now let's practice subtracting fractions with different denominators. It is exactly like addition, where we must find the same denominator, or they must have common denominators. So I have a problem of 4/6 minus 1/3. These do not have common denominators, so I must make them the same. I know that 3 times 2 equals 6. So whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So 1 times 2. I'm going to rewrite my problem. 4/6 minus 2/6 equals. They now have common denominators, so I bring my denominator over, and now I'm going to subtract my numerators, and 4 minus 2 equals 2. Now it's time for you to practice. Try these two problems on your own. Check your work on the next slide. If I start out with 1/5 plus 3/10, I know that I cannot add these until I have the same denominator. So the first thing I notice is that I know that 2 times 5 equals 10. So whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So I'm going to do 2 times 1. I'm going to rewrite my problem. 2/10 plus 3/10 equals 5/10. The next problem is 7/8 minus 2/4. These fractions don't have common denominators, so I must find the common denominator. I know that 4 times 2 equals 8. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 on my numerator. I'm going to rewrite the problem. 7/8 minus 4/8 equals. They now have common denominators. I can bring that denominator straight over, and I can take my numerators and I can subtract them, and I have 7 minus 4 equals 3.